there is a population out there it's very negative toward education.
Yeah.
But luckily in our district and having that community college nearby, we're able to almost grow our own teachers. We're able to hire teachers from ones who served as paras in our district as paraprofessionals. And that has been a huge blessing right there to be able to have those individuals come in and see, with that hands-on experience day in and day out, because you can only learn so much in a classroom and from
Yeah.
reading a book. You've got to be in that classroom and you've got to experience it. I can remember my own earlier degrees in bachelor's and master's degrees where before I even got a teaching position, and I can remember thinking to myself, I didn't learn anything until I got to my student teaching, when I had to go in every day and take control of that classroom. And so having those experiences is so important, especially with special education.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Cindy Felkins. Cindy is the Director of Student Support Services and Federal Programs at Bleckley County School District, which is in Cochran, Georgia. And I almost tripped over that, Cindy.
That is correct. All of that is right.
Well, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit, Cindy, about you and your background and a little bit about Bleckley.
Well, I am Director of Student Support Services and Federal Programs, just as you mentioned. I have been in education for this is about 30 years for me. I am not retiring just yet. I do have a few more years left due to some private school years that I also had initially. But my background in special education goes way back. I have only been in the special education arena. My job currently, it encompasses more than just special education. So with federal programs and student support services, it kind of encompasses a lot of different things. But special education is the main focus of what I do. In my personal experience, I had an aunt and uncle who were educators, longtime educators, and they are one of the reasons why I went into education myself. I was the first one in my immediate family to go to college in my immediate family and pick education as a vocation. So it's been very important to me. That same aunt and uncle were a long time, well over 30-year educators, and they both recently passed away within the past couple of months. So I just mentioned that because it's kind of near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
I did have various family members and friends who have had children in special education and needed to have that advocate and have support services. And that was very important to me too, especially being in a rural district and making sure that our students with special needs have the services and have the supports that they need in place, and also working with our team here to make sure that these students see outside the boundaries of our town. And I learned from a very, very knowledgeable colleague. She uses the phrase all the time, we don't want to see them graduate to the couch. And she's very,
Yes.
very smart. She's very, very
Yeah.
talented. She's very, very wonderful at what she does in a neighboring district. And that just stuck with me when she said that, because that's very important to me too, because we often see some of our students with special needs in our program, and it is in families, and it presents itself in families sometimes, and we want to provide those supports that they need here, even though we are rural. I know we're actually a very desirable school district in our area, and we are very, very proud of being a Bleckley County Royal. And we have neighboring districts whose families want to bring their children to us. So we do tend to have a lot of that too in our district. But Yes, that's where I am, and that's what I do day in and day out is work to make sure that the students and families in our district are taken care of.
Yeah, and you were telling me before we went hit record, you have about 2,600 students, correct?
That is correct. We have sometimes a little over, sometimes a little less, 2,600 students. That's fluid data, but yes, that's what we do operate with. And many of those students, I would say probably almost half of those students are in some program that is managed through the support services department. You know, if you consider gifted and students with 504 plans and students with IEPs and students with that need EIP services, early intervention, in our MTSS program, also, all of those, if you add all that up, that's a significant amount of students who need some support whatsoever. But we're in a great school district where we pride ourselves on working toward making sure to meet the needs of all of our students, so we can meet the needs of the specific needs as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. MTSS, for those of you that don't know, most of you know now by now, but it's multi-tiered system of support. So, but that's wow. So, you said your whole career has been. How long have you been at Blakely?
My entire career,
Oh,
outside of 3 private school years, I've been in Bleckley, and this is my
well, that
30th year in education.
wow. Well,
And
that makes
even
my
before that, I did, work with a tutoring agency
mhm.
and I did computer-based testing for an agency before that, so I've kind of always been in special education. When I was in high school, and I'm dating myself 'cause, getting close to the that 60 mark, won't be long, but,
Me too. Me too. I'm right behind. I'm
but
58. I'm right there.
we were fortunate to have extracurricular activities, and one was, Future Teachers of America, FTA,
Oh,
back in the
yeah.
day,
Uh-huh.
and I can remember being part of that organization, and we were able to go to we would be able to go to another school, another classroom, and teach for a day, and be part of the club, and so it's kind of always been in the forefront. We do live in a town that has a great community college, Middle Georgia State University. It used to be Middle Georgia College back when I went, back in the day. But, it prides itself on its educator prep program for putting out teachers, and I went into teaching, back then.
That's fantastic because the question I have for you is you've seen 30 years. You've seen 30 years at the same school, which is really neat. So
20
what
20 this is my 27th year here,
20
but yes,
well,
I got
yeah,
30
okay.
years in.
Got
Okay,
30 years
but
in.
close.
27 years there. So give our listeners just what has changed. I mean, there's a lot of change, but like when I ask that question, what jumps out at you as the major changes that you've seen in special education in those 27 years?
Well, I would like to tell you that, you know, there's a huge difference, but the bottom line is kids are kids, students, families are families, and the needs are the same. I think we're better at identifying those needs now. I think
Mhm.
we're better at connecting resources with those needs now. But, and I know I hate to say the C word, COVID, but ever since COVID, we have been behind that 8 ball with making sure to connect those services too as well. But I do think that we're doing everything that we can possibly do. We have a wonderful support agency in our neighboring district. It's GLRS, Georgia Learning Resource System, and ours is called East Central. So it's East Central GLRS. And it may be small in size, but it's big in providing resources for educators and training resources and working on those transition needs for our students as well too. But overall, it we've seen an uptick in students that have ADHD and autism and students that are diagnosed at an earlier and earlier age with these disabilities. And sometimes, you look at whether or not we need to support families more and parenting and that kind of thing as well. Not that they don't know, because sometimes it's just the need to put the resources in those hands. We have a program here called FAST, Families and Schools Together, and that's where they come together and those families get selected for that program, and we have communities and schools. It's a great support agency for them as well. But I have found that we've got to all come to the table. It does truly take that village, and we've
Yeah.
got to meet the needs of the families. But on top of what we're already doing in school, it is, you hear, okay, we're having less individuals going into education because of the compliance or because of just the sheer, there is a population out there that's it's very negative toward education.
Yeah.
But luckily in our district and having that community college nearby, we're able to almost grow our own teachers. We're able to hire teachers from ones who served as paras in our district as paraprofessionals. And that has been a huge blessing right there, to be able to have those individuals come in and see, with that hands-on experience day in and day out, because you can only learn so much in a classroom and from
Yeah.
reading a book. You've got to be in that classroom and you've got to experience it. Um, I can remember my own earlier degrees in bachelor's and master's degrees where before I even got a teaching position, and I can remember thinking to myself, I didn't learn anything until I got to my student teaching, when I had to
Mhm.
go in every day and take control of that classroom. And so having those experiences is so important, especially with special education,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
even more so.
Even more so. I agree 1000%. There's only so much that theory and book learning can give you compared to the real world, because you're not going to, no child is going to be textbook, right? No child is going to come with just that
Absolutely true.
one problem, right? And it seems like,
Absolutely.
too, it's not just a child. And you've touched on that quite a bit. And I'm grateful to hear that, because you're talking about serving not just the child, but your community and the parents, and doing everything you can to help those children to be successful. And I love the fact that you're growing your own teachers. What a great program that is. How long have you guys been doing that?
We've been doing it for a number of years now. We have a program where we can hire paraprofessionals while they're in school as well. And we partner with our education agencies to do that. And so it's just been a really positive for our district.
Awesome. So have you seen kids that have, or students that have, I always call them kids, um, students that like graduate and then from Bleckley go into that program and then come back as a teacher?
We sure do. It's funny now that I have this many years in, and now I'm seeing, people that I taught or people that when I spent a lot of time at the high school level, like nearly 20 years. I was just high school level, and I was beta club advisor in the high school. So it's funny now because quite a few of them are getting jobs, and maybe some of them in this district and the other districts as well. So it's awesome to see that, to see those young people go into a profession that's near and dear to my heart, along with everyone I know that works here. Has that same kind of feeling about working in our home district.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's great. That sense of community, and yeah. So in Cochrane, you said it's rural, but you have 2,600 students. So how big is
Zero industry, though. We have
zero
zero
industry?
industry
Okay.
here. The school system is probably the largest employer in
Ah.
in our district, if my numbers are,
So is it like a
correct.
bedroom community? Do they does everybody drive to somewhere to
It
work?
It is. We're, about 30 miles away from Warner Robins, Georgia, which is where Robins Air Force Base is, and
Ah, okay.
we're a bedroom community for that, and we're about
Gotcha.
40 miles south of Macon, Georgia. So and we're kind of in the middle between, like, Perry and Dublin and Warner Robins and Macon, but we're in the center of the state, but we do have a lot of students for our small district, but, they we actually have a fairly significant population of out of county, and sometimes we feel, that need and we not really that need, but that niche and we get
Mm,
overloaded sometimes in certain areas, so we have to watch that and all, but, you know, we are a good school system in our area, and we're thankful and blessed.
yeah. So you're the director. Let's just talk about your structure for special education specifically, because I'm a therapist. I'll always go into special education if I
Okay.
can. Let's talk about special education. So you're the director, and then you have how many? Like, do you have coordinators under you? What does your structure look like?
Well, we call them lead teachers,
Okay.
here in our district. Most of them, well, almost all of them have, teaching responsibilities as well, with a little bit of additional release time to do coordinator type work in the schools. But I'm very, very fortunate to have a district school psychologist. So we're not contracting that position. We have one on staff, and she is absolutely fabulous. She is such a hard worker and basically my right hand. She is in all the schools. She handles all of our, everything. She's even our District 504 coordinator as well. So we do meet a lot. We have meetings every single day. If you ask the administrators in our district, they would spend more time probably in IEP meetings than than anywhere. It is a lot. But luckily those coordinators, leads, they're able to help in that capacity as well
Hmm.
too. So they're in the building, they're boots on the ground. It's a fabulous group of ladies. I don't have any men coordinators at the present time, but we do have those. We have a great 3 to 5-year-old program in our school district, and we are meeting the needs of our 3 to 5-year-old students with disabilities because, as you know, you may have had in a previous podcast, you start serving those students with disabilities from you go ahead and get referred when they're 2 years old.
Yeah.
Our school psychologist is evaluating them at 2.5, and they start with us at age 3.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
run a
When they
project.
qualify. I'm
Yes,
sorry. Go ahead.
yes.
Yeah.
No, we run a, Project STEP program, we call it, and we have an early intervention coordinator, and our early intervention coordinator is also the 3 to 5-year-old, classroom teacher, but we implemented the program where she and our school psychologist and our pre-K director also, and any of our therapists that's applicable for the students, whether it's the SLP, OT, PT, they get together and meet and talk about because that is so important to me. That was something that I worried about as a director, wanting those families at that initial stage where they're first hearing that, okay, something may be wrong with my child. Well, they may not be anything wrong with your child. It may be a developmental delay or it may be some supports may be needed, but let's go ahead and meet and let's discuss and let's see, what we can do, how we can offer to help. Whether we just need to do some screeners or do we need
Right.
to do pull out psychological testing at that juncture. Um, so we actually partner with our area community. We send out our child find information to our area daycares and pediatrician, and we don't have any issue with finding the students with needs in our district because they do. Those families come to us,
Yeah.
uh, but I want them to feel comfortable in sitting there and asking questions
Yeah.
and getting the information they need from the time their child, is first going to start school because that is so important to me because that is the first impression of the special education program in our district. And we do a Georgia Department of Education does a parent survey annually, and we usually get extremely high marks on that. And I pride, our people that work boots on the ground every day, our therapists and our case managers, our teachers, and our paraprofessionals, all of them, and our administrators, and of course um, our school psychologist and early intervention coordinator, and oh gosh, we're lucky to have, school social workers. We're lucky to have, a wonderful parent mentor in our district. I can't say enough about all the wonderful things that she does for our district as well. So we're very blessed. We're very lucky
Yeah,
in
it
our
sounds like it. Occupational therapy shouldn't be one more thing on your plate. It should be a solution. Lighthouse Therapy offers school-based occupational therapy services that actually work for you and your staff. Our OTs have an average of 16 years of experience in schools, and they support everything from handwriting to fine motor to sensory integration. And you can choose from 3 different service models, whether it be virtual, hybrid, or in person. It's OT that fits your workflow without the chaos. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn more. Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say right now in 2026 in February? What is your biggest challenge?
biggest challenge at this juncture is, well, you're gearing up for spring testing.
Yep. Yep.
That's always a challenge. Um, in this district, I try to do, or annually I do a calendar. We call it the SPED event calendar, where we set dates for compliance and paperwork and all of those things that initially, and typically in the summer, I meet with the leadership team. Those are the coordinators or leads out in the early intervention and school psychologists and lead therapists, and we discuss, how do we need to modify this? And we need to make any changes. What worked last year? What do we need to do to tweak for the new year, and that kind of thing. And it's important to have all those voices at the table too, because you know it needs to work for every building. And when you're in a position like me in this district, I may be handling federal program side of things one day and jump to an IEP meeting the next. Or I'm also tribunal officer for the district, so I may have to go do that. Or, it's just a lot. It's a lot that goes on, and it's multitasking. So having those individuals in those key roles that you can trust
Yeah.
and you can work with and talk to day to day, it's just a huge, huge need and a huge blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For
Having,
sure.
like I mentioned before, East Central GLRS and any of the outside support agencies, Georgia Department of Ed is fabulous when it comes to providing any kind of resources and needs too as well. So we've got it. We just have to have, I guess, time is the biggest commodity
Yeah.
that we wish we had more of. But I guess challenge with the spring testing season and preparing for that. But it's also an exciting time too, because we get to work with our students who are getting prepared for that next step, post school transitions, and making sure that they have what they need to go and be successful.
Right. Yeah. Because that's the whole point, right?
Right.
Give them an
Exactly.
education so that
And
they can
starting
go out.
earlier too as
Yeah.
well, like, don't wait until high school to consider that. Um, we were an Aspire district, which is, active student engagement, inspires real engagement. I can't remember the acronym
It's okay.
participation, but it's basically, where students are learning to building those self-determination and those self-advocacy skills, and they are, by the time they get to high school, they're leading their meetings. They're telling the team what's working for them, what's not working for them, what they need, and that's always the goal. Um, Start small, let them maybe want they can come in and introduce their team, and then later on they're leading their team, by the time
Nice.
they get out of high school. Because we have and this is a challenge. You mentioned challenges earlier, and I'm not trying to be negative at
No, of
all,
course
but
not.
I do wanna say that we have more students in foster care, students that are raised by grandparents than ever
Mhm.
before, and that is a huge challenge because, oftentimes our grandparents aren't tech savvy, so everything now is, do you have Class Dojo or do you know how to work Power School or do and they don't understand all of that. So we work to have like high school does a parent university where they can come in and they can work on getting their questions answered and in each school actually, middle school, all of them. Um, they work toward trying to provide those services for those families too that might be in a situation like that where grandparents are raising their grandchildren or great grandchildren sometimes, and
Oh.
it's a challenge.
Yeah, that's definitely, the family unit and getting that family unit back in this country is so important. A mom and a dad in the house. It's such it's such a simple thing, but yet such a hard thing when you don't have it. Always feel sorry for those kids. Feel bad for those kids who's got a mom who's trying. She's trying really, really
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, and trying to make ends meet and can't make everything. And yeah, oh, it's heartbreaking sometimes to
And
see.
that opened my eyes when I was a special education teacher and a case manager at the high school. And when I first started out, you know, uh, I wouldn't always be empathetic at the time to those needs as a brand new teacher. I'm like, well, that parent never comes to the meeting.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, we do have some people out there, I'm sure, that are not they are negligent and not coming, but oftentimes it's not that. Oftentimes it is the parents who are working two jobs or the parents who
Hmm.
are maybe they had a bad experience early on, and that's not what we want to see, in the
Right.
school system. So they're kind of gun shy about coming into the school, about and sitting in front of a group of professionals, and they feel overwhelmed when they do
Yeah, it's
that,
intimidating, isn't it? Yeah,
and it
it can
can
be.
be
Yeah.
intimidating. I don't want our families to feel that way. I
Yeah.
want them to be able to come and address their concerns and discuss their concerns and be able to get their questions answered and get the support they need because that's
I love
important.
that. Yeah, yeah. And when you can do that, when you can navigate that and give them the ability to come in and feel like they're supported instead of just overwhelmed. It's overwhelming anyway. I mean, there's nothing worse than finding out that your child has a problem that you didn't even know about, and now you've got to talk to all these professionals, and you're not in that, you're not in education or you're not in medical, and trying to navigate. I've had so many friends because they know that I'm in education, and I've looked at IEPs from friends that have come and they're like, just help me to understand what they're saying, or help me to. I actually attended one for our next door neighbor. She's like, they want to keep him back, and I don't know if it's the right thing or not. And I know you do this, and I love them. They're good friends of mine. And she asked me to go, and I didn't go as an advocate. I just came as somebody, and he ended up
Mhm.
staying back, and they kept him back for a year. I tutored him that summer, and that student, that young man is doing so well. He's such a smart guy, and he's all grown up now, but
Success
it's like
story,
it's success, yeah. And she
right?
didn't want that. She did not want her child to have to spend another year in that grade, but I told her, I said, he's going to struggle even more if you don't give him that extra year to get that reading solid. And so she listened, and yeah. So anyway, all right. So Cindy, one last question. If you could solve just one issue, not money, but if you could solve one issue in your world in education and what you do and never ever have to think about it again, what would that one thing be?
If I could solve one issue in education, I guess, that's a great question. I'm not sure. There are quite a few actually.
Yeah. What's the first one that comes to mind? The first one, when I said that question, if you could just miraculously fix that one thing, what was that first thing that popped into your head?
I just want, individuals with the servant heart to be educators, to want to go into the profession and stick it out no matter the challenges, and do it for the students who need it the most. If I could solve the problems, um, those kinds of problems, because teachers are already overburdened, they're already overwhelmed,
Mhm.
and we're already tasked with just trying to take care of every negative that's in society, whether it's
Mhm.
medical care, whether it's mental health. Um, but if we could take that burden off the teachers and, I know you said no money, but oftentimes we do get those individuals in that do have the heart, but they do feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that they're provided supports that they need because it is a taxing and overwhelming profession.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's a challenge. And, you know, that's what I would like to do, make sure to just connect those supports as best I can. I try to do that. I mean, today we had a teacher who needed a potty chair for a child, which is not something we commonly have in storage, but we did actually have one when
Hey.
we our parent mentor found one in storage, but then it wasn't the right kind, but I wanted to try to find exactly what so I stop everything then because I want to make sure that child has what he or she needs, and that's important. And we do have a great community. I will say that. You have a need, and if funds are not where they need to be, if they're tight, because I mean, a good bit of our funding goes toward making sure we do have paraprofessionals employed
Mhm.
and in
Mhm.
those needed areas. And that's our special education funding to assist in those needed areas. So when you think about supplies and you think about things that children need that they're not getting at home for whatever reason, our district sends home food bags, to students that are referred, and we make sure to do that every single week. And we do have the clothing closets and the hygiene items and all of those kinds of things. So we we do have supports in place, and it has inched up over the years about of the supports in place too, but sometimes it does feel overwhelming. I know
Yeah.
mental health is a big, big issue right now, and
Yeah.
in our small school district, we don't have resources right here locally, but we have partner agencies that we can work with. But we do We do work with what we can, we really
Yeah,
do,
absolutely.
and so,
Absolutely. That's great.
I don't know if I
That's great.
answered your question,
Yeah,
but
you did. You did. You have a heart for your teachers, and I love that. And that's the point of that question is just where's your heart? That's what you're doing so many amazing things, and that question just kind of boils it all down to where's your heart. So, and you have a heart for the kids, and you have a heart for the parents, and you definitely have a heart for your teachers. I love that. So, where should people go, Cindy, if they want to learn a little bit more about Bleckley County School District?
well, um, they can call the Bleckley County Board of Education and call our office here. We have the Bleckley County Schools webpage, and all the contact information for every school is there. I have two sections on the website for student support services and under departments, as well as federal programs. And all the information is there for families that have children with special needs, or we have a section for gifted. We have a section for 504, hospital homebound, MTSS. We have those kinds of things online already. Um, but if they want to talk to someone, they can call. Just call, and we'll be glad to talk with them.
Awesome. Well, Cindy, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on Brighter Together and to talk about this your experiences. You have a wealth of knowledge, and Bleckley County Schools is blessed to have you. I'm sure that there are a lot of people there that know that. So thank you for
We
taking the time. Yeah.
I take 0 credit for anything in this district because it is truly a team effort all
Yeah.
the way around. The individuals in this district go above and beyond to work to meet the needs of our students and families, and I couldn't be more thankful.
Yeah. And that makes you an incredible leader because you're a humble one as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for what you're doing. And the world's a better place, a brighter place because of the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.